Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our latest webinar, Unleashing AI for Regulatory Compliance, produced by Mining Media International and sponsored by MSHAWise. Mining Media International publishes the two leading trade journals for the mining sector, Engineering and Mining Journal and Coal Age. My name is Steve Fiskor. I'm the publisher and editor for both ENMJ and Coal Age, and I will serve as the moderator for today's webinar. For the next 30 to 40 minutes, we will look at the use of MSHAWise, a chatGPT-enabled regulatory and case law software program. The system uses AI to cross-reference 50 years of MSHA knowledge with case law. We believe that MSHAWise will offer mine operators a new way to find answers to mine safety-related questions. It could also save mining companies tens of thousands of dollars in costs related to compliance and citation appeals. I'd like to introduce you to our two presenters, Mark Savitt and Tom Monty Montgomery. Mark started his mining career many moons ago at the Bureau of Mines, focusing on miner safety and education. That division was eventually reorganized into the Mining Enforcement and Safety Administration, MSHA, which eventually became MSHA. In that division, he helped develop and manage the agency's Special Investigation Unit. While in that position, he also took classes at night and earned a law degree from Georgetown University. After graduating in 1976, he enjoyed a successful career representing mine operators in safety and health-related matters. In 2009, he founded Predictive Compliance, a company that provides MSHA compliance management solutions using predictive analytics. More recently, he developed MSHAWise, a tool for conducting real-time searches for MSHA interpretive documents. Mark retired from full-time law practice in May 2020, and he now devotes his time to providing proactive compliance and safety and health solutions for the mining industry. In addition to all that, Mark also serves as an adjunct professor at the University of Arizona. He's a member of the executive committee of the Society of Mining Engineers, SME's Health and Safety Division. He recently received the Daniel Jackling Award and a President's Citation from SME, as well as the highest degree of safety domestic from the International Association of Mine Safety Professionals. He's been married to his lovely wife, Kim, for more than 40 years and has 3 children, Josh, Darcy, and Zach, as well as 3 grandchildren. Monty is the co-founder and CTO for MSHAWise. He's a seasoned technology leader with more than 20 years of experience in building and scaling software products for both enterprises and startups. He leads a dynamic organization of 35 plus product development professionals, driving innovation as the team takes ideas from the back of a napkin to a full product launch. Monty has held several technical positions at Fortune 500 companies like CSG Systems and Lexmark, and has built products across industries including telecom, mining, finance, healthcare, and the energy sector that are used by millions and continue to shape the industry. He holds a patent for the merging of social search with enterprise search technology. His passion is currently pointed toward building products with embedded AI technologies. On the call today, we have readers from both ENMJ and Coal Age. By attending today's webinar, you can use an ENMJ or Coal Age code that will provide a 20% discount on a subscription to MSHAWise. These codes, which will be given later, are ENMJ 2024 and CA 2024. We will begin with a brief description of why the system was developed and how it works, and we will follow that with a demo. After the demo, we will hold a Q&A session. You can use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the window to ask questions of the presenters or pose questions for MSHAWise. We will try to answer as many questions as we can in the time allotted. If your question is not answered during the session, it will be addressed after the webinar. After this webinar, we will follow up with an email that provides a link to a video recording. I will now turn the controls over to Mark and Monty. Welcome, Mark and Monty.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. We want to give you a big thank you as well for sponsoring the webinar. So much appreciated there. First, let's talk about just a little bit what we're going to cover. We'll go through intros. We'll talk about general industry and trends in Gen AI through last year, this year, and on into next year. We'll talk about what MSHAWise is and the problem that it's solving and the origins of it. We'll go through a few real-world scenarios, and then we'll hop right into a product demo. After the demo, and actually during the demo, we'll take your questions, and then we'll look at what's coming in the product roadmap in 2025, and then go to a general Q&A. So here we go. Like Steve said, Mark and I are co-founders of MSHAWise. I'm the technical guy.
I'm the industry guy. I've been knocking around the mining industry for 50 years or so. So this was born out of a lot of frustrations that I've had dealing with MSHA over the years. And Monty is going to just tell you a little bit about how we got there, and then we'll get right into the demonstration.
Hey guys, let's find out how many people interact with MSHA.
All right, so we are seeing a
Yeah.
majority of folks. I imagine, we've got some safety managers and operators on the call.
Right, we can.
And here, I'll stop sharing that.
I think.
Or I'll just
There we go.
close it.
Yeah. It looks like most of you do interact with MSHA on a regular basis, and we want to talk about how this can really help you with that. And for those of you who don't interact with MSHA on a regular basis, this is something you'll be able to share with people that do in your organization, and it'll also show you a better way to try and do MSHA research when you need to have it.
So first, let's go back in time a little bit and talk about trends in Gen AI. So as you may know, ChatGPT was born right around November of 2022. You could consider that the first wave of Gen AI, but things were actually happening for a decade before that. If you think about Siri or Alexa or just advancements in NLP. But this was a pivotal moment. The problem was when it first came out, it really got about a grade of a C+. So beware mediocrity. Also, it was biased. Some of them, if you remember, the Microsoft one was racist. They had to take it down. And right after ChatGPT came out, you had all these other solutions popping up using that or other large language models that were really in stealth mode. Generative text, of course, generative image with Midjourney and DALL-E, even generating music and video with Deep Brain. And now you've got solutions like Perplexity AI, which is trying to take the place of Google as a search engine, but a generative one. The problem with all of these is that you've got hallucinations in progress. You've got the 6-finger hand there. That's a telltale sign of generative images. For some reason, AI is notoriously bad at hands and toes, fingers. So you can kind of spot when you're looking at an AI generated image. But even so, things have gotten better, and we're seeing an AI proliferation. You're having a conversational experience where you can hone your query. There is a debate going on around ethical AI and how do we regulate it. So that's what's going to come here in 2025 is, be prepared for some level of regulation. It always takes the regulators, takes government time to figure out how and how far to go,
What to do,
right? And they're probably not going to get it right, but it's coming. And the other thing that is going to make this, that is going to take us from, if you know the Gartner hype cycle, it's going to take us from the trough of disillusionment where our expectations were so high and then it didn't really deliver all the way, or there were problems like the hallucinations and the 6-finger issue. But there's this second wave of technology that is happening right now, and we're seeing it through the end of 2024 into 2025. So the question is, what does that mean for regulated industries? What does it mean for this year and next year? Well, we're crossing the chasm. We're going to see more and more productivity tools where AI is just embedded in every workflow. And instead of hype, we're getting to a point where there's actual revenue impact. We're moving from the trough of disillusionment in the hype cycle to a period of enlightenment and starting to see the applied benefits of generative AI. The other thing is, it's going to be used by both industry and government. So it's time to, we think it's time to get on board for the ride as we grow and evolve here. And now let's drill down into the problem that we had that made MSHAWise come to be.
So I've been either part of the enforcement, part of the industry, and a lawyer on behalf of numerous companies in MSHA issues. And over 40 years, it has been just a challenge every time to try and find the documents that you need to rely on and get coherent answers. Trying to find things on the MSHA website is very frustrating. And it's even more frustrating to find things on the Federal Mine Safety and Health Review Commission website. There's no central place to look. The search experience really doesn't work. And when you're looking for the informal guidance that MSHA issues, it's virtually impossible to find. So what did we do? But before we go there, before we go there, just curious about where you guys all find your MSHA materials. Do you use the website? I mean, we put a survey up. We want to really make sure we're addressing a real problem here.
Call my lawyer.
Yeah, call my lawyer. I like that. I used to like it a lot better when I was practicing law, but I don't. We're trying to save people money on that right now. So it looks like most of you go to the MSHA website or use the ECFR. I am guessing that you share my frustration in trying to find things, especially informal guidance. So let me tell you what we did. What we did was we took all of the regulations, all of the informal guidance, all of the case law, and we uploaded them into a single website. And we added some compliance insights where we thought there were documents or sources that may not come immediately to mind when you do a search, and things you might not easily find. And our experience so far has been, when we've worked with people who are using the system, that they are coming across documents that they didn't know existed. And frankly, it's been showing me documents that I didn't know existed after 50 years. So we created a centralized database. Monty did an amazing job of getting the search experience to a place where you don't have to actually ask the most accurate question. You'll start to get answers. And as soon as you start to get answers, you will be able to refine your search and get to exactly where you need to be. And we're going to show you how to do that when we do the demo.
And you have the advanced operators here where, you can use and, or not, quotes, of course, if you want to find an exact match. And not only that, but there's fuzzy search, meaning you could have a typo in your query or plurals, and or a typo in the content, and still find what you're looking for.
The other thing we did was we created a system where you could actually look for specific sources of guidance or specific sources of authority. So this is an example of one of the authority level tables that you can actually go to and say, I know there's a program information bulletin out there somewhere. I just don't know where it is. And you can then go right to that, search directly for the regulation or search directly for the subject matter, and it'll pull it right up for you.
And we're rather
than having to go through the MSHA website to find it.
Right. Some of the other filters or faceted navigation include entities like people, places, and organizations. So you might be looking for those items, and you can filter and drill down on those.
And then what we did was we married all of this material to two different MSHA co-pilots. One of them deals with the regulations and the guidance, and the other one deals with only the case law. And we did that for a very specific reason, because it turns out that the AI is more erroneous in relation to how much material it gets to look at. So the tighter you draw a circle around the sources that it is allowed to look at, the more accurate it tends to get. So when we looked at all of it, there's a lot of instances where the reg says you have to do this all the time. And then there's a case, and the case says, well, not actually all the time. So we wanted to make sure we had two different kinds of searches. The second thing we did that really we needed to do was we tethered the AI to the search engine. So the AI now produces the principal documents it relied on in giving you the answer. And I don't know how many of you have used ChatGPT, but if you ask ChatGPT for a document, hey, what document did you base that on? It will actually say to you, I am not a search engine, and it won't reveal its sources. We wanted you to be able to have the source in front of you. And that becomes extremely important, of course, when you're talking to MSHA. You say, look, I have a copy of the program information bulletin or the inspection manual or whatever it is.
It's critical in preventing the AI, preventing the co-pilot from going rogue or hallucinating.
Right.
And
so go ahead.
Well, we have a poll here too. So how often does everyone use ChatGPT or other AI tools at work? All right, we've got some everyday users and some newbies.
Yeah. It looks like most of you are pretty familiar with using ChatGPT or those kinds of tools. So we don't need to spend a whole lot of time talking about how to do it, but what we need to do is get you to start looking at MSHAWise itself, and we want you to test it. We want you to send us your burning MSHA questions. You can put those in the Q&A, and we will actually test the MSHAWise against the questions you want to ask it. But before we do that, we'll go through a few real world scenarios. And these are the things that come to us. Safety manager, somebody on site says, oh, this is a violation, and you need to have an objective discussion. You can pull up your sources right away and get the answer. Trainers get asked MSHA questions all the time that they don't have answers to. And people are always wondering, I got a citation for this. What do I do next? I don't think I deserve it. Do I have any defenses? And this is exactly what this is built for.
A lot of our early adopters were actually training companies, because they just keep it up in the background as they're teaching classes and reference it.
Mm-hmm. And we can get a little bit more advanced. This is not exactly here yet, but we're working on it, and you can get close to it. It can write you plans for PPE. It can help you compose a letter for an informal conference on a citation, given the various facts in the citation, or it can tell you what your best grounds for appeal or for challenging a citation might be. And you can do that in the current system, but we expect in fairly early 2025.
We're going to be making it better.
To have it fully developed, so you can just say, write me this letter, and it'll go ahead and write your draft.
We've talked to people about this. They really want a button that says, I'm appealing a citation. Okay, well, fill in a couple fields and let the co-pilot help you out. Or I'm writing a safety plan, or I'm editing a safety plan, upload that safety plan and tell me how to make it better, or what am I missing? So we're getting there here over the next few months. And
so go ahead.
In the end, really, like, what are the outcomes that you're going to achieve if you use MSHAWise? Well, you're coming on this journey where we're crossing the chasm of generative AI. And you'll be saving time, increasing safety, saving money, and just improving your preparedness of your people. So it's both proactive and reactive whenever you need it, and probably preventing some legal fees.
Yeah, it might actually save you some
Yeah.
money. So let's run right into a demo. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask it a couple of questions just to illustrate how it works. And then we really want to be able to answer your questions. So if you'd put them in the Q&A, we'd love to have them. So Monty,
Perfect.
why don't we pull up the site and we'll go right to the demo.
And after we demo a few questions, we'll come back to just a few tidbits about the product roadmap and what's coming in 2025.
Right. And so let's first ask it a real simple question. When do I need a berm?
So both co-pilots are working, streaming their answers,
and it's telling you what it found. For those of you on the coal side, you're probably familiar with the Haul Road Inspection Handbook, but most of the people on the hard rock side are not familiar with it. And you'll see that it cited to this Haul Road Inspection Manual. So since most of the people on go back for a minute.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Since most of the people on the hard rock side aren't familiar with it, we put a little compliance insight in here that refers you to see the table in the Haul Road Inspection Manual that shows you when you need a berm. So how am I going to get the Haul Road Inspection Manual? You try and find that on the MSHA website. It's right here. It's in the site. And if we just to shorten everything up, we happen to know that table E1 is right at the bottom of the web, right at the end of the document. So there's your chart that says you need a berm above in the shaded area and you don't need it below. And if you scroll down just a little bit more, you can see where they have actual grades and drop-offs of where you need it. And I want you to scroll down even a little bit more. And you'll note that it says coal only, but now, as you remember from a few years ago, coal and metal non-metal are fairly merged. If you look at the two standards, the coal berm standard and the metal non-metal berm standard, they are roughly the same, and it would be very difficult for MSHA to say, well, on two equivalent roads, you need a berm on a coal mine, but you need a berm at a hard rock mine, but you don't need it at a coal mine on two equivalent grades and drop-offs. That would be very difficult for MSHA to justify. So you can find absolutely objective answers in there. And it takes you right to the site. Yesterday, when we were doing a demo for somebody, they asked us a question about safety data sheets, and it took us to a 2002 HAZCOM compliance guide that I frankly had never seen that actually answered the question precisely. What if this happens and that happens and this happens? And we found it right in there in about.
He actually came to the table and said, "You're not going to be able to help me."
Right. And so
within 5 minutes, he was like, "Holy cow! I need to write this stuff down. Do you mind if I take a picture of your screen?"
He actually took a picture of our screen so he could put it in his conference letter. I was really proud of the system when it did that. And we want you. I don't see any questions yet.
Yeah,
so.
we do. We do actually have a question. First one from the audience is list collision avoidance regulations for underground machinery.
Collision avoidance.
List collision avoidance regulations
for underground
machinery.
All right. Let's see how they do.
List them. It's not doing it. There it goes.
The case law co-pilot, and this is part of the reason there's two co-pilots, is they're pointed at different bodies of knowledge. Sometimes there might be nothing in the regs per se about something, or we need to tweak our query. But the case law co-pilot has come back with some
references to quite a number of different regulations. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of this has to do with how you write the query. And so we could play with the question a little bit online. I want to show you one other feature of it, or two other features of it as well, just so we can show you some more capabilities of it. I'm going to ask another super easy question. When do I need fall protection? And I just want everybody to see that, because this one is more kind of like the folks on the hard rock side are more familiar with this, but the folks on the coal side are less familiar with it. So I want to show you that. If you look at the answer, if you can read it, it's kind of small type, but if you look at it, you'll see it references an OSHA standard, which obviously doesn't apply to MSHA. And the reason why it does that is because of this program policy letter that's in the middle here. And we pull that up and find out that in 2014, the administrator for metal and non-metal wrote a program policy letter that says generally we will follow the OSHA rule and we won't cite people generally. It doesn't say always, but it says generally we won't cite people if they're less than 6 foot off the ground. So this is a kind of thing where I as somebody who practiced law for a long time, knew it was there, but trying to find the exact letter has always been a challenge. And this way it comes right up and we get the answer. I want to show you one other thing. And if you want to find a specific regulation.
So here we'll use our quote.
Oh,
quotes.
yeah. Let's use quotes. Wheel chocks.
Yeah.
Always a popular subject. Hit the search
Gotta
button.
chalk your tires.
Yeah. And then what we're going to do is let's go down to case law. And what you're going to find out is click on case law. Those are all of the cases that have ever been decided on wheel chocks. And there's only 14 of them. So you can then pull each one up and start reading to see if it really is something you want to do. And you'll see it takes you right to wheel chocks in each one of the cases that you pull up.
Hit to hit navigation. There we go.
So it'll go to each one. Anyway, that's yeah.
Oh,
so
there
you go. It goes to each reference to wheel chocks in each of these cases. You can read about what it is about the wheel chocks that prompted MSHA to write the citation, and you can read about what the judge decided in terms of whether the chocks were properly applied or whether they should have been there, or whatever question has to actually.
So when would somebody use this? Is this more about appealing a citation, or is this for a conference?
You'd probably, for either one, you get the citation. You don't really think you needed wheel chocks, or you think that you put a timber there instead of a real wheel chock and you thought that was really fine or whatever. And in fact, this case happens to be about putting timbers instead of wheel chocks.
Okay.
And obviously the machine ran away and the timber didn't stop it. So you can imagine how that one turned out. But nevertheless, there's all your cases on wheel chocks. I'm going to
change. Let's ask it something more difficult. Like write a safety program for a coal loading facility.
Should we do program or plan?
Program.
Whoops.
I'll repeat it. Write a safety. Okay.
We got it.
All right. Let's see how we fare. And this, so by the way, this actually showcases thumbs up, thumbs down. We are capturing analytics when the AI does good or bad when people tell us. So we are always listening for feedback, and we have the ability, because we're creating our own vector databases and we have our own body of knowledge that we both constrain it to and allow it to see, some of which is proprietary that some of the general AI solutions don't have access to. We can continue to tune it. We can continue to train it. And
it wrote me one yesterday. That's all I can tell you.
Let's see if I do write a safety plan for personal protective equipment. Okay, so the reg copilot, the MSHA copilot, is basically documenting, and one of our enhancements, by the way, that's coming is to format this nicely, especially when you have a list scenario like this. But it's giving you the scaffolding for your PPE safety plan right here. And then it's also citing the source
Where
for
it
that.
is. If you change, by the way, if you change that from coal loading facility to barge loading facility.
Right,
to
a safety
barge-
plan for
Yeah, for a barge loading facility.
a barge loading facility. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems to have a lot more information.
There
And
we
it
go.
goes straight to
And it gives you the reg that you need to follow.
and it gives you the regs, and it also references the use of fall protected, right? A number of different guidance
Right.
documents. So if you're
Excellent.
more specific about what kind of facility you want to do, right, then it'll focus on that.
There's a little bit of a learning curve and trial and error to hone your query in some cases,
But
just like using any generative AI
yeah,
tool.
or using Google. I mean,
Yeah,
how many
yeah.
times do you have to fix the question to go through Google? And here, what we did was we just made it a little bit more of a specific question, and we're finding that the more specific the question is, the better it performs.
Mhm.
So this is a good
Oh, do you want to show
example of a plan.
a regulation number?
Yeah, and
So,
if you're looking for regulation numbers, let's put in 30 CFR. Let's quote it. Let's
no,
quote
I don't
it.
think we
Yeah,
need quotes
okay.
on that.
Okay.
But-
that's 75.400. Because everybody gets cited for that, right?
Okay. Now, in this case, we're looking more for search results because the AI may or may not do anything with just the number.
Mhm.
You haven't really asked it a question. But in this case, it did actually say, hey,
There's
guess
some
what?
cases
There's
in
some
this.
cases around here from 1983 and 2010. But importantly as well, we're looking at
It's being fuzzy,
75.
400.
Yeah, there is a fuzzy search aspect.
Yeah,
Let me do this.
we should take that out.
Yeah. So if you just search for the regulation number without the 30 CFR and go to
It goes
regulations,
right there.
first result is
My bad.
75,400. And you can get right there. And then and if you need to, you can filter by part number.
It's only underground coal.
Mhm.
But now let's put quotes around it just for grins,
Okay.
just to show you what the quote feature will do. And search again, right? And then we're going to go to case law. Go to case law.
Okay.
Every case that brings up 75,400 is now listed. If you go to documents, it'll similarly refer you to everything that there is about 75,400.
Only the 7 documents that.
Yeah, there's only 7 documents that specifically reference that regulation. So if you get a citation for a 75,400 violation, you can go right into these documents and start looking at what MSHA's informal guidance is about with regard to it.
So
It'll give you a lot of different information.
what we're hearing from trainers, from safety managers that are using it, our customer base is that they're saving a lot of time and they're getting better answers. And they're also coming along this journey as they know. I'll talk about the product roadmap here in a minute. But they're coming along this journey with us as we improve every month.
Put in another regulation just
Okay.
for, I just want.
We have another question from the audience.
Oh, good.
Here. Are there any plans for integration of state level regulation?
At the moment, we don't have state regulations in it. We could if we get enough demand from various different states. And we'd have to actively look into that as we move forward. But the current tool is for MSHA, federal MSHA.
However, we are building MSHAWise, which while most of that information is federal, we are building state level filters.
Some state level filters into that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because OSHA, unlike MSHA, OSHA has state plans and they have state OSHA administration. So it's a little bit different legal arrangement. But why don't you put in 77.2100? Okay, let's search for that. The reason why I brought this up is that's the brand new MSHA mobile equipment. Go to regs. That's the brand new MSHA mobile equipment regulation, right? Which is not in your little pocketbook yet. It's coming in the next edition. So if somebody MSHA shows up and says, well, you got to write this plan and here's the reg and blah, 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 and you pull out your book, which you obviously will have with you when you're talking to MSHA, it won't be in there. So here this is the very latest regulation to come out. We have the silica rules in, and we update this as the new rules come out. So you don't have to wait for another edition to be printed or anything like that.
Every month we're checking for new bulletins, new case law, and adding it in.
For instance, the silica regulation FAQs get updated every month, and we're uploading them every month.
So if there aren't any other questions for the demo side, we could talk about product roadmap for a few minutes and the offer.
Yep. No other questions?
We do have two more questions, but it's not demo related.
Okay.
One of the participants says that she needs help understanding what takes precedence. Is there a way to put some kind of guide in that talks to that between what is in the PPM, PPL case law?
That if you look back to that authority guide, it's ranked in order of what takes precedence. So we can go back if you want to go back.
So on the left here, and actually let me do a more general search here. We'll search for brake test.
If you go here, the law takes precedence over the regulation. The regulation, obviously, it speaks for itself. And then we have the authority levels in here. And MSHA is always going to tell you that none of this is binding on it, but it's very persuasive. And there's some new law out that really restricts MSHA's ability to just kind of make up new interpretations of things and get them accepted by the courts. You may have read about it. There's a Supreme Court decision that did away with a prior Supreme Court decision called Natural Resources Defense Council versus Chevron, where the court said that the courts are required to accept agency interpretations of their own regulations if they're vague, as long as the interpretation is reasonable. That's now been done away with, and courts are now required to look at what the agency has actually said in the past and done in the past in order to justify an interpretation.
Okay, but these different guidance types are not necessarily in order.
They're not necessarily in order, but they're all over there. And you know what?
She said you answered her question perfectly.
Excellent.
We have another person who's asked about overhead power lines, 0.12045.
Let's put it in. Do we want to provide any other context or just general search?
Says it references the NEC, National Electric Code, but the NESC covers overhead power lines. 12047 on guide wires does reference the National Electric Safety Code. Does the program manual recommend following NEC for 0.12045?
There's a beginning of a discussion.
Okay. So we might have to hone our query on that. There's
some case law on the issue you can see. and there's some discussion of the regulations as well. And there's places to look for various different authorities.
Mhm. I mean, trying to find this on the FMSHRC website, looking through the case law would be a nightmare.
Yeah. So, just by putting in overhead power lines, we get ourselves pointed towards exactly the answer. And then as we start playing with the query and getting more and more specific, then we'll start to pull out more and more specific authorities.
Okay.
Do we want to hone it?
But
That's good.
yeah, I think we'll leave it here.
Okay.
Another participant asked, can a legal interpretation be provided if a certain CFR regulation is quoted?
Well, all we can do is refer you to a case where there's been a legal interpretation. The program doesn't create interpretations of regulations. All it does is allow you to look at if MSHA has interpreted the regulation in some informal guidance document, like we showed you with the fall protection one or the berm one, or if a court, one of the administrative law judges or the Federal Mine Safety and Health Review Commission has considered the regulation, you can put in the regulation and look at every case that's considered it. So it doesn't provide independent opinions, but it refers you to whatever legal interpretations exist and which have been accepted or rejected by a court or put forward by MSHA itself.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a lawyer. It may save you a call to a lawyer, but I think it saves you the first 2 or 3 calls to the lawyer. By the time you get through looking at this and you've figured out where you stand, you only need to make maybe 1 or 2 calls to the lawyer rather than 3 or 4 where the lawyer says, well, I'm not really sure what you mean by this, but there's a case about this, and there's a case about that. And we're looking at all this. You're $500 into it by the time you get to the question you really need to get answered. This saves you from that.
That's right. Okay, let me talk a little bit about.
Is there anything else?
Yep, we've cleared them all.
Good.
All right. Okay. We'll just do the wrap up here for the last few minutes, talk a little bit about the product roadmap, and then share the discount codes and the offer and how to get in touch with us and everything. So first and foremost, mobile apps are on the way. You still would sign up on the website, and then the mobile apps are free. It'll be on the Google Play Store. It'll be on the Apple Store.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's the mobile app.
So we've got alpha versions, and we expect them to be ready probably in December, hopefully early December. So we'll let everybody know when that happens. And then a few other things. So we talked about the advanced authoring, right? Having that button that says, I want to appeal a citation. Okay, well, fill in a few forms. I want to write a safety plan or update my safety plan. Okay, well, we need to create a succinct workflow along with that button that allows you to get it done without having to mess around with the system. And that really like puts some training wheels on for you. Copilot conversations. So what this means is you should be able to have it remember what questions you asked and have different threads. If you use ChatGPT, it already does that. We need to
We're working on
incorporate it. So that's coming soon. Enterprise features. What we mean by that is sharing with your coworkers, taking notes on documents and document markup and sharing those things, having some favorites and possibly uploading your own content as well.
Doing your trending searches,
Now,
sharing questions of interest, all of that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Is coming.
When we say engagement features, that is exactly that. Trending content, popular searches, and making it so that you don't have to start with a question. You can just start with exploring some of the popular questions or topics or navigating the system. And then lastly here, we are in the midst of building MSHAWise. We're looking at Q1. So somewhere around January, February, we will launch MSHAWise. It will be a different different site, MSHAWise.com, but there will be bundled deals for people who are existing MSHAWise customers to have both. And
Yeah.
then
I want to just say something about feedback and then we'll go to the offer. We are completely accountable for this product. Every time you ask it a question, it will ask you if you have an issue with the answer. It'll ask you if you got what you wanted. It gives you a thumbs up or a thumbs down on every one. If you hit the thumbs down button, it comes directly to us. We engage on it instantly. We try and make sure everybody gets an answer in at least 24 hours and often much faster than that. So it's not like some anonymous website where people ask it questions that doesn't really satisfy them and they don't know what to do.
you have a direct line
to the
which you'll see in a second, to both Mark and myself.
So the industry guy and the technical guy, so we can figure out how to fix your problem or improve the product so it answers your question.
Now the thumbs down, we capture it in our analytics and we are looking at that stuff, but we're not going to necessarily respond in email if we do a thumbs down. But every conversation we have, whether it's an email or we're actually at a conference right now in Reno, it helps guide our product roadmap and tells us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong.
We also see who put the thumbs down too. So we can get right back to you about it.
Yeah, that's right. And so thank you so much for joining us. There's Mark's email, my email, the MSHAWise website. The EMJ 2024 and the CA 2024 are whatever you read, Coal Age magazine or Engineering Mining Journal. They get you 20% off an annual subscription. So the normal price is $750, but that drops it down to $600 for the year, which is equivalent to $50 a month.
It's $50 a month. I mean, for legal advice that would cost you hundreds of dollars in one query, I think $50 a month is really a fair way to look at it. We didn't get into this to try and rip anybody off. We really want to add value to the industry, and that's why we're here.
That's right.
So, yeah, thanks a bunch for attending. And Steve, can you tell us how long those codes are good for?
They're good for a while, at least through the end of the year, I believe.
That's right.
That's right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, hey guys, great presentation, fantastic product. This concludes today's session. And for all you that participated today, look for the follow-up information. We'll have an email coming your way with a survey. And thank you for attending and take care out there.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye-bye.